Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Meenakshi vidhyamandir. In the previous video we discussed algae and bryophyte, and in this video of second part of plant kingdom going to discuss pteridophyte, gymnosperm and angiosperm. Now let's move on the first topic, pteridophyte. The pteridophytes are the first terrestrial plant that having vascular tissue, which is made up of xylem and phloem. We very well know that the xylem is responsible for water and mineral transport, and phloem is responsible for food transport. The main plant body of pteridophyte is sporophyte. Sporophyte, which is well developed, having well developed roots, stems and leaves. As we compare this pteridophyte feature to the bryophyte, that only having the root and stem like structures, but in pteridophyte it develops into true roots or true structures. These leaves may be small or large, so they are known as microphyll and macrophyll respectively. The appearance of pteridophyte depends on the leaves sized. This sporophyte is having sporangia. This is a sporangia which is look like a leaf and look like appendage, and this sporangia is produced spores, and spores are germinate into gametophytes, and this gametophyte is known as prothallus because it is small multicellular and is responsible for photosynthetic thalloid. Thalloid means thallus like or a bag like structure. So this gametophyte having two type of sex cells or sex organs called male sex organ antheridia and female sex organ archegonia. As we know that the fertilization is take place with the help of water, and the antheridia is traveled with water and reached to the archegonium, where it fertilized with archegonia and developed into zygote, which further developed sporophyte and is produced spores. These spores may be similar or different. If it is similar, then it is known as homospores, and if it is different, that it is known as heterospores. And these heterospores may be female large cells or small male cell. Okay, this is the life cycle, and we can say that the pteridophyte is started from the fertilization of gametes, male and female, and developed into sporophyte, where the main plant body and developed into spores, which develops another spores, and further its cycle is going on. Now let's move on next topic, gymnosperm. As the name suggests, the gymno means naked and the sperm means seed, collectively known as the naked seed, or the plant that having naked seed, open seed, which is not enclosed by any type of ovary cell or any type of covering. The leaves of gymnosperm are well adapted for the extreme temperature and humidity, or we can say they are the tolerable to the harsh condition. And the trees included in the gymnosperms are many of medium sized or tall or shrubs also. The leaves of the gymnosperms are needle like because it reduces the surface area and responsible for the reduce water loss. And it is also having thick cuticle, which is also one reason that responsible for the reduction of water loss through the stomata. And the gymnosperms having heterospores means different type of spores, a large female cell and a small male cell. Similarly, as we discussed in Pteridophytes, similarly in Gymnosperms, the sporophyll is bearing sporangia, and this sporangia is beared sporangia developed spores which are of similar, not or different. So it is a gymnosperm, so it is having heterospores or different type of spores, small male cell and a large female cell. These spores or these gametes are arranged in this like that developed into cone like structure and called as male cone produced male gamete called pollen grain, and female cone produced female gamete called ovule. As we know that the pollen grains traveled with the agents like water, air, or we can say wind, or we can say insects. They travel through the insects with the process of pollination, reach to the female sex organ called ovule, and fertilized with ovule and developed into zygote, which further developed into embryo and having naked seed. In summarized way, we say that the female gamete and female gamete fertilized in the female sex organ called ovary, and fertilization is further developed into embryo and responsible for having naked seed. There are write some examples that the both male and female strobili means a cone, male cone and a female cone on the same plant called pinus. It is the example having both of the type of sex cells having, and cycus which is different or having different sex organ on different plant, means a plant having male cone or a female cone only once in a time. Okay, now we're going to discuss angiosperm. The angiosperm having flowering plant, or we normally call the angiosperms are flowering plant because they bear flowers, or the seeds of the angiosperms are enclosed by fruit, or we can say it is having covered seeds. The angiosperm is of two types, monocotyledon and dicotyledon. Monocotyledon is only having one type of cotyledon, and dicotyledon is having two cotyledons like pulses seed we see in the normal life examples. So the flower in angiosperm having two type of sex organs, male or female sex organ. The flower that is having a single sex organ known as unisexual, and the flower having both sex organ in a single flower called bisexual. So if the male sex organ called stamen and female sex organ called pistil, this is the structure I drawn. This is the anther, and this is the filament, tube-like structure, and this is the female sex organs, which is a bulgy like and sticky appearance on it. This is here. The anther is responsible for the production of pollen grains, which is the male gamete, and here the female gamete is pistil, and it is having stigma, style, ovary, and this is bulgy shape like ovary contains many ovules, and which is a female gamete, and it is also known as embryo sac. Now here the embryo sac having one axil 2 synergid cells, 3 antipodal cells, and 2 polar nuclei, which is also known as diploid nucleus. Here we see it clearly. Here, this is the antipodal cells, 3 antipodal cells, and this is the polar nuclei called diploid nucleus. This is the egg cell, middle one, and these two are synergids, which is present in the corners. Now we discuss how male gamete transfer and how female gamete catch it, and where fertilization take place. In this process, how and what. Here, this pollen grains traveled from the wind agents or any type of agents, which is called pollination, and these pollen grains stick on the stigma and developed a pollen tube, which pollen tube runs towards the egg cell. With the help of this pollen tube, the pollen grain enters into the style and enters into the embryo sac of ovary, and here the pollen grain is fertilized with the egg cell, and the other two type of synergids are degenerates, and sometimes the pollen grains also fertilized with these two polar nuclei and developed into PEN. PEN means primary endosperm nucleus. This is, here I wrote the full form. It is the abbreviation we used in books or in any notes. Here, the both type of fertilization take place in the ovary of angiosperm, so we can say that the angiosperms are having double fertilization. First is egg cell plus pollen nuclei or a pollen grain, which is developed into zygote, and another one is male gamete is fertilized with the diploid nucleus or polar nucleus and developed into primary endosperm nucleus. So these two type of fertilization happened in the angiosperm, so it is named as double fertilization. Okay, so here I discussed all the topics which are remained left in the plant kingdom, and here we complete it. If you have any doubt, please comment it in the comment section. Thank you.